Hi, and welcome to Yoga for Back Care. Thank you for joining me today. For today's practice, we're going to be focusing on somatic movement. So I just wanted to take a moment and let you know kind of what Soma means and what somatic means. So Soma is it's a body, but it is specifically your body. So Soma is your own living experience of being in a body. So whereas looking at someone else, you see them only from the outside, Soma means your actual first person experience of being in your body. And so somatics or somatic movement is your experience of moving your own muscles and feeling the movement and the experience of being in your own body. And that includes any discomfort, any sense of tightness, as well as, flexibility, feeling your own strength. And so as we go through today's practice, we're going to play a little bit with some somatic movement. Somatic movement is based on the patterns, healthy movement patterns that we all should have as human beings, that sometimes, because of stress, injury, illness, surgeries, anything like that can kind of throw us out of a natural pattern of moving. And so somatic movements help us to regain some of those natural movements that maybe we've lost over time. So we're going to begin today lying down. As we come to lie down, if you need to put a blanket or anything underneath your head to support your head, please do that because we're going to be on the floor for a little bit. So whenever you're ready, come on down. And, arrange yourself in a way that feels soothing on your back or as soothing as you can be. So if that's knees bent, feet on the floor, if that's putting a little roll under your back or your neck, legs could be outstretched. And let's take the arms down onto the floor today. Usually I give you the option of having hands on the belly or on the ground, but let's rest them on the floor today. And as you find a little bit of stillness here on the ground, maybe close your eyes. And just take a moment to feel the support of the ground. And remember, I said that Soma is your body, your felt living experience of being in the body that you have. So with that in mind, take a moment to really explore what's happening inside today. Notice where you feel tense, loose, discomfort, tingly. What's your felt experience of your breath like today? As you scan through your body and you notice how you're feeling, see if you can tune into anything that is chronic. And what I mean by that is things that tend to come and go over and over again, a familiar place of tension or tightness or pain. And I'm asking you to notice the chronic areas because I think as we age, we all tend to have these places that get tight, and then we'll kind of work out the kinks and it'll go away for a little bit and then come back. Somatics takes into account the fact that the stress in our life has an impact on our body and how we feel in our body. And then just decide how you want to move today. How can today's practice serve you the best? And that includes things that you might need to change up a little bit, things you might need to skip. And if you'd like, set an intention for your practice today. And once your intention has been set, see if you can feel your breath from the inside out. See if you can notice your bodily experience of your breath as you inhale. Can you feel muscle contraction, drawing breath into your body? Can you feel expansion in the chest, the rib cage? I'm going to ask you to stay with this for maybe 10 breaths. So I want to really give you some time here to investigate, to explore, to get curious about the sensations you're experiencing. Maybe you notice how your breath feels in different areas of your body, your belly, your chest, your back, your ribs. Maybe noticing how your breath influences any discomfort you might have. Just taking another breath or two here as we finish. And then when you're ready, we're going to kind of make ourselves into a narrow X shape. So don't spread yourself out really big and wide, but we are going to take the arms overhead. If this bothers your shoulders, either take your arms out wider, or you could even put a pillow underneath each arm so that they can rest. So if you have a bolster or something, you could rest your arms on. And just take a minute first to soften. So just soften into this shape a little bit. Bring your awareness to your right leg and really lazily start to reach your right leg out away from the center of your body. And just see if you can notice what happens in the rest of your body to allow you to reach with the right leg. Can you feel some sense of contraction through the left waistline? What else shifted? And then soften and kind of come back to center and let everything release. And then we're going to do the same thing with the left leg. So lazily reach your left leg out away from you. Let your left leg lengthen. And again, as you lengthen through the left leg, what else facilitates that movement? Where else do you feel a sense of contraction, lengthening, and then soften and let everything come back to center. Take a moment and center. And we're going to move to the right arm now. So reaching your right arm out away from you, just lengthening. And notice if there's any similarity anywhere to when you're reaching with your leg, either one. And then soften and come back to center. And then left side. So we're going to reach out nice and long with the left arm. And as you reach with the left arm, again, just kind of scan through your body. What muscle contraction is there? And then soften, come back to center. We're going to go through that again. So now that you've done it once through and you know what we're doing, can you be a little more internal? So reaching with that right leg, what lengthens, what gets shorter, what gets more tense, what gets more relaxed? And then soften and come back to center, release, just observe the after effects. And then we shift to the left leg. So lengthening that left leg really slowly, lazily, not trying to really accomplish anything here other than observation. And then just soften and come on back to center. Pause, notice. And we'll go to the right arm. In your own time, lengthening through that right arm. And after you've reached out, come on back. And then we'll do the left arm when you're ready. Reaching out nice and lazy with that left arm. And then come on back to center. And just pause. So between the second and third round, just take a few breaths here. Begin to notice any after effects in your body, your spine, your waistline, your chest. And then we'll go around one more time. So whenever you're ready, right leg starts lengthening out through that right leg. Doesn't matter if you point or flex your foot. Just get lazily long. And then come back to the start. Let everything release. Check in. Notice. And after you've noticed, then reach out with the left leg. So nice long reach with that left leg. And then come on back and soften. Observe. Be in your body as you reach now through the right arm. So stay inside. What's happening from head to toe? What's going on as you reach with that right arm? And then come on back to center, soften. We'll reach with the left arm when you're ready. Left side, big reach. And then come on back to center and just spend a couple of breaths here. Again, just noticing any residual sensation from having gone through those movements. And then whenever you're ready, slowly take your arms down by the sides of your body. Slowly draw your feet in, bending your knees, putting your feet flat on the ground. And just as slowly and with just as much intention, we're going to go through some pelvic tilts here. So when you feel ready, begin to tuck your tail, moving your low back closer to the ground. See if you can bring the low back within your range of comfort, closer to the floor. And then see if you can do the opposite. Can you begin to tilt your hips so your tailbone moves closer to the ground and your low back arches away from the floor? And I want you to go through this really slowly, really mindfully, being aware of a lot of the same things I was pointing out before. So what lengthens as you draw your low back toward the ground? What contracts? And then as you arch your back, what contracts in your body? What gets longer? What do you feel in your spine as you go back and forth? And continue to go back and forth really slowly. See if you can get really curious, very open-minded here about what your felt experience is from the inside. And remember, when you're going through ranges of motion, you're choosing what works for your body. These movements shouldn't cause pain. So if they do, can you make the movement just a little bit smaller and stay in a range of motion that doesn't cause pain? And let's go back and forth just 2 more times with pelvic tilts. Go really slowly. And then when you're ready, come on back and just find what feels like neutral to your body and be here for a moment with any after sensations, any after effects. And then when you're ready, very slowly, very gently, we're just going to roll over onto one side. I'm going to have you come to sit. So find any comfortable seat. So if you want to kneel, if you want to even sit in a chair, if you want to have your legs stretched out in front of you, just coming to sit. We're going to focus on one shoulder at a time. So we're going to start with the right shoulder. And all I'd like you to do is scrunch your shoulder up by your ear. Take it up nice and tight. And as smoothly as you can, release your shoulder back to the starting position. Nice and slow, let it release all the way back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. So scrunch your shoulder up tight by your ear. And then as smoothly as you can, release your shoulder back down. The idea here is to be able to control the whole range of motion. So as you scrunch your shoulder up by your ear and you hold it tight, and then you begin to release, if you notice any like things that feel like a skip in a record or a little kind of spastic movement where you feel like maybe you don't have full control, just be aware of that. And we'll do 1 more time. So a total of 4 times, scrunching that right shoulder up, smoothly releasing it back down. Beautiful. Just take a moment to pause. Now we're going to take the same shoulder and we're going to shift it forward. So reaching the right shoulder forward, and as smoothly as you can, take it back to neutral. Good. Same thing. So taking the right shoulder, shifting forward. Beautiful. Pause. And as smoothly as you can, bring that shoulder back. I invite you to close your eyes. So once you have a sense of what we're doing, if it helps you to feel more into your body, close your eyes, shut out that external stimulus. Beautiful. So 4 times going forward and back. And again, we're staying in a pain-free range of motion. Beautiful. And then soften. And now we're going to take the shoulder down. So you may need to rest your hands on your lap, but we're going to pull the shoulder down and then let it come back up in a smooth range of motion. So this is probably the smallest range that we'll go through. Shoulder pulls down and then smoothly come back to your natural position. So 4 times, intentionally pulling the shoulder down and then come back to neutral. Last one for me. So do 4, take your time, pull down and come on back up to neutral as smoothly as you can. We're going to finish with going back. So we're going to take the shoulder back. And then as smoothly as you can, come back to neutral. Notice if there are any like little jumps or skips in the muscle movement. So taking the shoulder back and release. And you may also notice that there are other parts of your body that move. Like when we take the right shoulder back, the left shoulder wants to go forward. That's okay. Notice any sense of the muscles around that right shoulder. We're doing it 4 times, and then just soften and relax and take a moment to notice the difference between right shoulder and left shoulder. So just be here for a moment in open observation. Take a few breaths. And then we'll shift to the other side. So when you're ready, left shoulder scrunches up tight by the ear. Squeeze. And as smoothly as you can, release that shoulder all the way back down. Again, notice if there's a place where your muscles want to like hop or skip through part of that range. So we're going to lift the shoulder up, squeeze, and then very slowly and smoothly come on back to neutral. Good. And what you may start to notice is that the shoulder relaxes into neutral a little bit more each time. So it's okay if you feel like that shoulder drops even further away from the ear each time you release it. So 4 times in total. See if you can get really interested in and curious about what you're doing. So from back, now we're going to go forward. So we're going to take the shoulder forward and then back to neutral. And again, notice, around your ribs, your chest, what muscles are helping with this movement. What gets contracted as you pull the shoulder forward? What lengthens or stretches? And then shoulder comes back. Really take your time. And again, it's okay if as one shoulder comes forward, the other one might shift back a little. They're connected. Everything's connected. So that's okay. There's so many little hiccups for me with this shoulder as I go forward and try to bring it back. And then we're going to go down. So the next movement is to pull the shoulder down away from your ear and then back to neutral. And as you pull that shoulder down, notice what else happens. Like when I pull this shoulder down, I actually feel this stretch on my right side of my neck. So just observing what's happening in your body. Pull down, soften and release. Everything is connected. And then come on back to center. Last thing we're doing is pulling the shoulder back. So we're going to draw that shoulder back. Notice what contracts, what lengthens, what stretches, and then come back to neutral. Try not to twist your whole body. So remember, this isn't a twist. This is just that shoulder drawing back and then coming back to center. Good. So we're going to draw back. And as smoothly as you can, come back to neutral. Good. We'll do that one more time. Draw back. Come on back to neutral. And just be here for a moment. Let everything soften. We're going to shift back to the right shoulder. So we're going to take the shoulder up by the ear. And as smoothly as you can now, take the shoulder forward, down, back, and then up by the ear. We're going to go around 3 times. So again, we're trying to keep the movement as smooth as we can. Stay in a pain-free range of motion. Around 3 times. And then you'll come back and just soften. Take a moment to observe the difference between your right shoulder and your left shoulder, if there is one. And we'll do the same thing on the left side. So scrunch your shoulder up by your ear, take it forward, down, back, making a nice smooth circle, or as smooth as you can manage. Just moving the shoulder. Beautiful. And then we'll take the shoulders, let them release, take a moment, scan through your body. How are you feeling in your neck, your head, down your back? And then when you're ready, we're going to come on to all fours for a little cow and cat. So when you're ready, making your way to all fours. And much like we did with the pelvic tilts before, can you take these really slowly? And I'm going to ask you for today to not think about connecting your movement with your breath, because I want you to go slowly enough that if you need to inhale and exhale while you're doing one movement, that you have the time to do that. So very aware of your position, your spine. Can you begin to arch your back? If you want, you could lift your tail and you could lift your chin and look out in front of you. So again, range of motion that's okay in your body. Feel the lengthening, feel the contraction, and then do the opposite. So very slowly beginning to tuck your tail around your spine. What contracts, what lengthens, what pushes, what pulls. Take your time. So you may be inhaling and exhaling several times before you come into your final shape. So don't try to connect this with just an inhale and exhale. I want you to go a little bit more slowly than that today. So see if you can be really aware of what's happening, especially on the 2 sides of your body. You know, begin to notice, do you feel like there's a little bit of an imbalance somewhere? One side moves a little bit more smoothly. And we'll just go back and forth one more full round. So we started with arching the back. So we're going to arch the back one more time and then round the spine one more time. But again, go really slowly. Take your time with this. See if you can feel full spinal movement from your tailbone all the way up to the base of your skull. And then when you're done, come on back to neutral and just pause there for a moment. See if you can tune into any sensations. Notice if the sensation remains in the spine, or is it moving down the arms and into the hands, down the legs? How far away from the part that you were moving do you feel other sensation? And then go ahead and curl your toes under. We're going to pass through downward dog just to come up to standing. So you can come up to standing any other way you'd like. If on your way you'd like to pedal your legs out a little bit here, feel free to. Remember, if you need blocks under your hands, those are always an option. And eventually we're just coming up to stand. So you can either walk your hands to your feet or your feet to hands or a little bit of both. In your own way, we're going to make our way to standing and just come all the way up. As you come up to stand, take your feet just a little bit wider than hip distance apart. We're going to slowly just extend the arms up overhead. And all we're going to do here is reach with the right arm. So we're kind of doing what we did lying down before, big reach with the right arm. Notice what lengthens, what contracts. Soften, come back to neutral, and then reach with the left arm. And again, just notice what gets longer, what gets shorter. And we're going to go back and forth here, really slowly, very mindfully. Big reach with that right arm, like you're trying to reach a top shelf. And then switching sides. So right arm relaxes. Nice and slow with that left arm. Beautiful. Come on back down. Just one more time each side. So as you reach with that right arm, what's happening in your neck, your legs, your hips, your ribs? Notice everything. Left side, big reach. Beautiful. And then come on back. Relax your arms down. Take a moment just to stand. You could shake out or move around a little bit if you need to. And then bringing awareness to your hips. So we're keeping the feet about hip distance apart here. And all I'd like you to do without bending your right knee, bend your left knee. So your left hip sinks down. Your right hip feels like it's hiked up. And you'll see like my waistline is shifted a little bit here. And then we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to straighten the left leg, right knee bends, left leg stays straight. So now hips are skewed the other way. Try to make this a side-to-side movement without kind of twisting in the torso. And then we're going to switch again. Left knee bends, right leg straightens. Feel how this skews your hips. What gets shorter, what's contracted, what's lengthened. And then switch again. Where do you feel contraction? Where do you feel lengthening? And then see if you can begin to smoothly go side to side so that as you straighten one knee, the other knee bends. So we're no longer just focusing on one side at a time. We're trying to do a coordinated movement. And notice also, how does this feel in your ribs, your shoulders? How is your neck responding as you move your hips in this way? Because remember, it's all connected. Take your time. Beautiful. When you feel ready, we're going to come back to center. And again, just take a moment, kind of walk it out a little bit, shake out a little bit, soften. And we're going to combine the last two movements that we just did. So we're going to take the arms back up overhead, feet are about hip distance apart. So now, as we reach with the right arm, we're going to bend the right knee. So the left hip hikes up. And then we're going to switch. So as we reach with the left arm, left knee bends. And where do you get long? Where do you contract? Notice that in your body. So take your time with the first couple, making them a little bit more isolated. That reach with the right arm, right knee bends. And then the reach with the left arm, left knee bends. And then let's see if we can coordinate this a little bit so it turns into a smoother movement. So you feel the reach with one arm turn into the reach with the other arm. You feel one knee start to bend as the other one straightens. Beautiful. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to come back to center. So finish up whichever one you're working on. Come on back up to center. Whew, release your arms down. Take a moment, shake out. Notice how you're feeling in your body. How is everything feeling so far? And let's just take a little walk up to the top of the mat. We're going to go through a really, really slow flow here. If flowing isn't working for you today, you can continue to work on anything we've done up to this point that you enjoyed. So when you're ready, we're going to take a reach, but this time we're reaching evenly with both arms, both legs, and then softly fold. Now remember, we're focusing on somatics today. What's your felt experience like in your body as you fold? Let your fingers find the floor. Walk your feet back. Find a little downward dog. How does what we've been doing up till this point connect to what you're doing in downward dog? How are you feeling on the two sides of your body, your hips, your shoulders? We'll take a nice slow transition into plank pose. We're going to hold in plank, so you can either release your knees to the ground or keep your knees lifted. But take a moment and notice what's lengthening, what's contracting, what's pushing, what's pulling, what's holding you in this position. And then we're going to lower down to the ground. So as slowly as you can manage, we're going to come all the way down to the floor. And as you come down, we're just going to rest on the ground. Take a moment, hands under the chin. Let everything soften a little bit. Connect with your breath. And we're just going to keep the hands wherever it's comfortable to support you. We're going to work a little bit here with the head. So you can still start with chin or forehead on the back of your hands. But we're going to lift the head and look over the left shoulder. And like we've been doing with everything else, can you notice how right and left sides of your back contract? Where do you feel a sense of lengthening? And then come on back down. So chin or forehead rest again. Settle back. And then same thing. So we're going to lift the head. We're going to look over the right shoulder. Observe the contraction and relaxation pattern in your back. And then come on back down. Come down, rest, let everything settle. Whenever you're ready, lift your head, peek over your left shoulder again. Observe the pattern in your back. What contracts, what relaxes, what shortens, what lengthens, and then come on back down. One more time to the right side. So we're lifting up the head, peeking over the right shoulder. And then come on back down. And now that we've gone side to side, just one time, just lift your head. If you want, you could lift your chin. You could look out in front of you. Observe the pattern of contraction down your back. Are both sides of your back working evenly, equally? Is one side doing a little bit more? And then come on down, soften, let everything get soft. See if you can maybe even wiggle or shake a little bit to let everything release. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring awareness to the legs here. So get nice and long through your legs. And if this feels too stressful or straining today, you don't have to lift your leg. Just the beginning of lift should give you enough information. So we're going to start with the left leg, and we're just going to start to float that leg off the ground. And again, it doesn't have to come all the way up.
just beginning to lift your leg should give you some information about movement pattern. So as you begin to lift that left leg, what pushes, what pulls, what contracts? And then bring that left leg back down. Soften, let everything come back to neutral. When you feel ready, we're going to do the right side. So right leg starts to lift. And again, what's going on in your body? Can you move slowly enough and with enough intention that you really notice what's happening? And then bring that right leg back down. You might even notice more if you don't lift your legs. Sometimes it's just that getting set to lift a body part that tells you the most information, because that's where there's a transfer of weight and effort. So we'll go back to the left side whenever you're ready. Notice how that feels. And then whenever you're ready, left leg comes to rest. Let your back soften. And we'll switch to the right side. So again, there's no need to actually lift the leg. It's just that initial preparation to lift where muscles tense, other muscles relax, some muscles shorten, some muscles lengthen. And you're just noticing that pattern. And then whenever you're ready, if you want to play another time or two, maybe shift back and forth, see if you can smooth out a lift of the left leg becoming a lift of the right leg. Almost like you're flutter kicking when you swim. See if you can feel a smooth transfer of effort from one side of the body to the other. And whenever you're done, soften and relax. Here, if you need to bend your knees and maybe swish your legs a little side to side, if that feels good in your back, feel free to do that. We're going to take one more round of breath here. And then whenever you're ready, bring your hands by the sides of your chest. Very gently press up onto your hands and your knees. Come into tabletop. So we're going to line ourselves up here. So the wrists are under the shoulders, the knees are underneath the hips. And with a great awareness of the hips and the shoulders in particular, can you curl your left toes under and slide your left leg out nice and long? And I'm going to have you do that a couple of times. So bend your left knee again, bring the left knee to the ground, and then curl your left toes and slide your left leg out long. And what I'd like you to do here is you repeat this movement a few times is, can you notice the shift in your body just as you extend your leg? And as best you can you try to keep your hips fairly level as you extend? The next time you extend your leg, we'll keep it extended. And then just barely pick your right hand up off the ground and put it back down. So similar to what we were just doing with the leg, we're going to pick up the right hand, put it back down. And again, as you do that, what shifts in your body? What muscles turn on? What muscles turn off as you lift weight out of your right hand and then put it back down? The next time that you lift your right hand, we're going to extend that right arm out nice and long in front of us. Make a tight fist with your right hand. Squeeze tight, so tight that you feel it in your shoulder. And if you'd like, you can float your left toes just barely off the floor. Think about getting nice and long. Imagine that someone's going to walk over to you and they're going to try to push your right arm down, and you're holding it so strong that they can't. And then imagine that someone wants to push your left leg down and you're holding it so strong that they can't. And then release back down, come on back to center. Take a moment, move, shake, wiggle. If you need a little cow and cat here, you can do that too. And then reset yourself. Curl your right toes, slide your right leg out long. And again, just notice the transfer of movement through your hips, your spine, muscle contraction as you slide that right leg out long, and then bring the right knee to the ground again. See if you can keep your hips fairly level. The next time that you stretch your right leg out long, we're going to keep it there. And then we'll focus on left hand. When you lift your left hand, what shifts in your body? So left hand is bearing weight, and then it's not bearing weight. We're going back and forth between those two things just to see how the body adapts to that. And the next time you lift your left hand, you have the option to extend it out nice and long. Make a tight fist with your left hand, squeeze tight, feel it all the way up in your shoulder. And if you want, you have the option to float the right toes off the ground. Pausing, holding here, breathing. And again, imagine someone's going to come over and try to push your left arm down, and you're holding so strong that they can't move it. Imagine someone's going to try to push your right leg down, and you're holding so strong they can't move it. And then very slowly, gradually come on back so that left hand and right knee are on the floor again. If you like child's pose, take your knees out comfortably wide, bring your big toes together, shift your hips back toward your heels. Remember, hips don't have to touch the heels. You could stay up a little higher. You could prop up on your forearms. Take a few moments here just to connect with your breath. If it feels good to wiggle a little bit through your hips, you could certainly do that. Feeling your breath come in, feeling your breath go out. We're going to take 2 more rounds of breath here. And then whenever you're ready, come up onto your hands and your knees. I'm going to have you grab a blanket or a towel, just something you can roll up to fill up the gap at your low back. So we want to keep the back in a more neutral position. So it depends on how much space you have at your low back, what your natural curve is like. So for me, I only need a little bit of a roll here, not huge. And then I'm going to come and lie down so that this blanket fills in that space. And you can make any adjustments that you need to, so you feel like that space is supported without any effort. So you don't have to hold your spine in neutral. You can let your back relax, let it soften into the blanket. We're going to start with knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Keeping your spine in neutral, letting the blanket support your spine. We'll just draw the right knee in toward the belly. Right knee comes in toward the belly. I'm just holding and breathing here. As an option, if you'd like, take your right hand behind your right thigh. And then just begin to shift the sole of your right foot toward the ceiling. You can take both hands behind your thigh if you'd like. So we're coming into like a half happy baby as an option. If you want, you could even draw that right thigh a little bit more outside of your torso. So you could stay a little bit closer to the midline, or if you want, you could get a little more into the hip by taking the right thigh outside, knee outside toward the shoulder. Take a few breaths here. Spine stays neutral. Take another breath. And then just start to release. So you can rebend that right knee. We'll release the right foot to the ground. Pause in between. Feel the support of the blanket under your back. When you're ready, left thigh comes in toward your belly. We're going to pause here and breathe. And then again, option to take left hand behind the thigh. And we'll start to move the sole of the left foot toward the ceiling. Right hand can come behind the thigh too. And again, coming toward a half happy baby. Your left thigh could stay more in line with the left side of your torso, or you could take your left thigh more outside of the torso. Completely up to you. Connect with your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And then whenever you feel ready, we'll bend that left knee again, release your left foot back to the ground. Take a moment just to be in neutral, letting the blanket support your back. And then if you'd like, we're going to draw both thighs in at the same time. See if you can keep your spine more neutral. So this means your thighs may not come as close to your belly or your chest as they could if you took the blanket away. So we're going to try to keep the hips down on the ground, maintaining a more natural curve in the spine as we draw the thighs in toward the belly. And whenever you're ready, we're just going to release the feet back down. Feet about hip distance apart. We're going to reach the hands straight up toward the ceiling. Keep your hands about shoulder distance apart. We're going to shift the knees to the right as the arms go left, but only go part way. And then we're going to come back to center. And then we'll shift the knees to the left as the arms go right and come back to center. And again, I want you to stay in a range of motion that feels okay in your body. So arms go left as knees go right, back to center. Arms go right as knees go left and back to center. So you can take this into a full twist if you want, or you can stay just with a partial twist. Take your time, feel the coordination between arms going right and legs going left, and the contraction through your core as you come back to center. We're going to spend about 30 more seconds here. So if you want to finish by pausing in a twist and releasing, you can do that. Take your time, either continuing to move side to side, or if you want, you could bring this into a twist if you know that that makes your back happy. Just finishing up anything you might be working on here with the twist. Come on back to center. And just take a moment to scan through your body and decide, is there something else that your body needs to make this practice feel complete today? Do you need to take a few deep breaths? Do you need to do a different twist? Do you need to wiggle your toes? And knowing that we're moving into Shavasana next, just begin getting yourself set up in whatever way makes sense for you. So if you like that rolled up blanket under your back, you can keep it. If you want to put your legs up on something, if you want to put your legs up on a chair, legs up the wall, maybe roll up a blanket and put it under your knees. And beginning to settle into whatever shape feels good for you. As you feel ready, you could close your eyes. And see if you can take a few fully embodied breaths. Feel your whole body breathing in and your whole body breathing out. Whole body breathing in, whole body breathing out. As you connect with your breath, can you feel the contraction as you breathe in and the relaxation as you breathe out? At first, you might only notice that movement in the ribs or the belly or the chest.
But can you begin to tune into the ripple effect of your breath? Like someone throwing a stone into still water, the ripples move outward. So as you breathe, can you feel that ripple effect in the neck, the shoulders, maybe down the arms? You feel the ripple of your breath flowing down into your hips, your legs, all the way down to your feet, all the way up to the crown of your head. And can you just be with your breath here? If you have time to stay and enjoy your breath, please do. If you need to close your practice, begin moving in whatever way makes sense to you. Feeling your body against the ground, feeling small movements in your body, letting them kind of ripple through. Moving in any way at all that feels good. If you'd like, you could take your arms above your head for a nice long stretch. As you bring your arms back down, begin moving in any way that will allow you to eventually roll yourself over onto one side. And eventually ease your way back up to find any comfortable seat. As you sit, you could leave your hands to rest in your lap, or you could place your hands on your heart. I invite you to revisit any intention that you might have set at the beginning of the practice. And you could reset that same intention, or maybe set a new one for the remainder of your day. Thank you so much for making some time to slow down and to pay close attention to your Soma, your body. The light in my heart bows to the light in each of yours. Peace.